Hey guys, this is Sam and Aaron with TouchMe. We've had the opportunity to test the next iteration of Community Core Vision, which is now at 1.5. We just wanted to make a quick video to describe some of its newest features. It's a pretty exciting release. The biggest feature that it has that we've seen so far is that it can easily handle more than one camera at a time. We've personally used up to 4 cameras, but in this demonstration we're going to only show 2. So let's get right into it. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that we're using dual projectors, and with those projectors, we're using, edge blending and geometric shaping and stuff, and it's a software. So you might see things look a little bit different, and we're going to show that video in in another series that we'll be doing. But for right now, we're going to get right into it. So we're going to open up 1.5 now, and you'll recognize the majority of the interface. Not much has changed on the interface, but we do have a couple extra options here. You still have your typical background, your smooth, your high pass, your amplify, and your image threshold. But the one big thing that we're going to deal with in this one is this new option here called Enter Multi-Camera Dialog. All right, so we're just going to go right into it. Now this is really cool. Now down here, you can see that there are 2 active cameras in our setup. All right. Now, if we want to enable both of those cameras for stitching, they've got this right here. It's called Camera Grid Settings. So on the x-axis, we're going to choose 2. All right. That basically on the x-axis, it gets us lined up for having 2 cameras. Now, it's as easy as figuring out which cameras are lined up in your box. Camera 1 is the camera I currently have my hand on. So all I got to do is click that camera and drag it up to the first box. Then I just take camera 0 and drag it up to the second box. We now have 2 active cameras. It's that easy. One more thing I wanted to show you is if you click on either camera, you get an additional two features here. You have settings and you have reset. And basically settings is your exposure and your gain. But we're not going to mess with that because in order to stitch these cameras together, the calibration process is a little bit different. And the calibration will automatically set the exposure and the gain. So let's go ahead and get right back into it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just say to save my settings. So now it'll keep those 2 cameras locked into place. And then I'm going to click this button here to go back to the tracker. Now as you can see, we've got pretty heavy blobs here and everything like that. We're just going to do a really quick background subtract. Okay. Now we haven't done too much with our settings here, like our amplify and our high pass. We're just going to leave it as is. But we're getting pretty good blobs off of that already. All right. And you can also see here where our camera view is actually overlapping. So I'm actually seeing 2 sets of fingers as opposed to the 1. So, just like you would calibrate anything else, the function is the same. We're going to hit C. All right, now this is what I was saying, that our edge blending is kind of out of whack. So for our purposes, we hit Control Shift F12, and that will tell our the blending software we're using to put it all and blend the 2 projectors together. So now the one difference that you're going to see right away is that you only see one grid, one calibration grid, but if you look over here, there isn't any. Now what this is that it's set up so that when it calibrates, it's actually calibrating not just the touch points, but it's also calibrating the cameras as well. So this calibration grid is lined up for the first camera. So all we have to do now is, like we would in any other version of CCV, is we just hit the C. Now we have our calibration dot. We're going to touch each one of these dots. I'm going to go ahead and do the first couple here, and we'll go ahead and continue the video on when we get to the last couple drops. All right, we just wanted to show you real quick. Here's the last 3 in this camera's grid. As I click or as I touch on the last one here, the next grid will pop up. So now we're ready to start calibrating for the second camera, and it works exactly the same. All right, that takes care of our last spot. We're now calibrated, so as you can see, we are good on both cameras, and it tracks across both cameras without a problem. If the tracking had changed, you'll see the color change. But we're tracking across both cameras, no problem, and the color's not changing. We're tracking pretty quickly too. So we've got really good calibration, and the cameras are perfectly stitched together. Now, all we have to do now is we press the X. Our CCV is going to look a little strange here because we still have our blending stuff set. So again, Control-Shift F12. And what you see here, believe it or not, is the 2 cameras have now been stitched together, and it actually crops the area for where the cameras have been stitched. So now all you have, and what also this helps, is you get much cleaner blobs this way too. So now we can track all the way across both cameras and not lose our ID at all. We now have 2 perfectly stitched cameras all the way down. It's fantastic. We absolutely love this new version of CCV. A lot of thought and a lot of time has been put into it, and we believe that you guys are going to get quite a bit out of it. One thing I'd like to point out is that we are, as you know, we're running the 2 cameras. We are currently running at 40 frames per second, and the resolution is 640 by 480. The processing is hardly anything, and it's just very, very smooth. So I'm not sure if the code was completely reworked or any new algorithms were introduced, but I will tell you this is running extremely smooth. I mentioned earlier also that we have run 4 cameras on this, and it ran 4 cameras just as easily as it did with these 2 cameras, except with 4 cameras you get 4 calibration grids as opposed to the 2. So this is Sam and Aaron from TouchMe. We just wanted to share the video with you guys, and I hope everybody really enjoyed it, and thank you for everybody who took part in creating it. It's a really, really fantastic update.